Fortnite is a game that has reached heights that no other game has managed to, but at the same time, it has also fumbled numerous opportunities in a way that genuinely hurts my soul. Do you remember when Peter Griffin was added to the game? Everyone was confused as to why we had to get this muscular version of Peter instead of his original design. It was a great skin and all, but why couldn't we get the original Peter? Some people said that Peter had to be muscular because if he wasn't, he would have had too large of a hitbox, while Seth MacFarlane said that he heard Peter's actual body would have been too much for the budget. And I could have lived with either of those explanations. They would have been fair enough, if it wasn't for the fact that the giant chicken from the same show was added the same season with an arguably bigger hitbox than Peter could have ever had. You see, the thing about Fortnite's development direction is that it is constantly
Hi, anime fan.
sabotaged by poor judgment and out-of-touch decisions. Have you ever seen someone who's so rich that they don't even know what to do with their money? Like a billionaire who outbids everyone on a Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut, only to cover it in a Galaxy wrap. I have never seen a more clueless yet egotistical corporation like that of Epic Games, a company which I can honestly describe as arrogant, because the people who lead this company's decisions always believe they know what's best for their games, even when they are clearly fumbling the easiest of decisions. Alright guys, I know you love the OG season, so we're gonna bring it back. Woo! Except the map is gonna be like weird and not OG, huh? And it's gonna be like Warzone Rebirth this time. What? Why couldn't you just leave it unchanged? I don't know how to do that. This is a development team with leadership in charge that has never heard the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sprinting used to feel smooth. Now it's an over-engineered slog. Skins used to have rarity.
Just use a normal
truck. Don't. No studio makes me as angry as Epic
Games.
And I don't care if it's just me. I will despise them until the globe burns.
Holy shit.
Uncle Goonstick. Now you might be thinking, this YouTuber is such a negative Nancy. Total negative Nancy. Why do you hate Epic Games so much? Yeah, why do you hate Epic Games so much? Because they take good opportunities and ruin them. Case in point, these three. Lego Fortnite, Rocket Racing, and Fortnite Festival. Released as the main events of Chapter 5, these were meant to be staples on par with Battle Royale, and upon release, they each had a good amount of traction. But in a very small amount of time, they lost the majority of their players, with one of the most dramatic fall-offs being Lego Fortnite. The fascinating thing about these games is that they were actually planned years in advance. You see, back in 2017, when Fortnite was popping off, it did in fact get to Epic's head, and this is the proof. All the way back then, a sketch was made about the future of Fortnite, and how the people behind it thought it should become a hub for gaming, a place where you could enjoy music, PvP, survival, and more. You know how up your own quad crasher you gotta be to want to turn your Battle Royale into a multi-genre gaming hub? Can you imagine if at the height of PUBG or Apex Legends popularity they said, no, this is more than a Battle Royale, this is a medium. This is Epic Games' unique arrogance. To their credit, it is impressive that they thought of this idea this far in advance and actually ended up doing it. But that doesn't mean they did a good job. For something that was so long in the making, these games were released in a rushed state. Probably because Epic wanted Chapter 5 to be a big spectacle, so they rushed these games out to meet the release deadline. But as you'll see in this video, releasing these games in a rushed state was a huge mistake, because it permanently hindered their momentum, and the amazing game hub paradise that would have been suffered as a result. Lego Fortnite is no doubt the most infamous example. For those of you who don't know, this was essentially a Fortnite survival game with Lego DNA, and I mean actual DNA baked into the animals. At first, there was a lot of hype for this game because it seemed to be brimming with exciting new mechanics. This was not just a gimmicky Lego muck. There were Breath of the Wild physics, Dark Souls combat, advanced villagers, and even temperature that changed with biomes. However, even though there were a lot of bells and whistles, the game lacked depth.
They shouldn't have limited it. They shouldn't have limited the fucking villager cap. If they didn't limit how many villagers you could have and how many you could explore with at once, it would have been a fucking hit.
And content to fill out those mechanics. And in less than a week, most players realized that there really wasn't that much to do. Sure, the world design was beautiful.
I got banned from Steak for saying the F word. Pretended I didn't know, but yeah. Yeah, they shouldn't. Yeah, Alex, they basically shouldn't have limited the amount of NPCs you could make fight for you.
Beautiful, but it also felt empty. The whole thing felt like a demo for Unreal Engine rather than a fleshed out game. And so the millions of players playing it soon turned into thousands. This, of course, is nothing new. Most games don't sustain their day one popularity for too long, but the drop-off here was particularly dramatic. This game went on from having a huge amount of
Good lord.
discourse to most people dropping it and forgetting that it existed. The solution to this, of course, would be to update the game and give people new content to
Where
explore.
Auntie's gonna
And
be
you'd think this wouldn't
carrying
be an issue.
Wendy's.
I mean, this is coming from the studio behind Fortnite Battle Royale, a game that is constantly updated. But ironically, LEGO Fortnite's updates were incredibly lacking. The game came out around December 7th, 2023, and by April 22nd, 2024, this is what the game had received. Launch pads, hunting daggers, fishing rods, and an animal pen.
They also
Really?
added cars and a wrench.
Believe it or not, none
Fucking
of this was
really?
enough to compel most people to come back. Fast forward to last month, and all that's been added since April was a Star Wars event and fast travel. Why does this feel like an indie game? Personally, the lack of content wasn't actually a big problem for me. I'm someone who digests games much slower than the average person. It takes me a long time to use all the content in most games I play because I tend to take things slower. Even though the player count
Goddamn.
was lower every time I hopped on the game myself, that didn't
I could scream really loud, but I choose not to. Because I don't want to wake up, small dad and small mom.
deter me from playing LEGO Fortnite, and I was perfectly content playing the game as it
Crazy,
was.
hear me
Little
out,
did I
PJ.
know, this naivete would lead to one of the biggest heartbreaks I may ever experience. You see, after getting hooked on the game for a couple of days, I decided I was going to build a massive project. I was inspired, convinced that even though the game was abandoned by most players, that just meant there was more room for me to shine. I was going to become the Etho of LEGO Fortnite. And the Green of LEGO Fortnite. And you know, while we're at it, and the Mumbo Jumbo, and the B-Dubs, Vintage Beef, Corral, the idea was to build a fortress that loosely
Small
resembled
family
the
of
city
okay
of Whiterun from
haters.
Skyrim. I
Real,
planned for my
real.
build to have a foundation that held up tons of decorated houses, all the while containing an underground system beneath the city. Buildings with multiple floors that I could find myself immersed in would surround me and cause me to forget about all my real-life problems. It would all be a part of what I built for the next few months to come. The ultimate sandbox experience. The best part was because the LEGO villagers were so smart, they had the ability to do jobs, so I could actually have NPCs roaming my city and doing real work that made the city feel alive. The whole thing felt like playing Minecraft for the first time again. I would collect the resources I needed, fight off enemies, and enjoy the process all the way through. It was shaping up to be one of the greatest gaming experiences I had ever had. And then, something weird happened. While working on placing the upper floorboards of one of my houses, a banner appeared that said I was now building in a high complexity area. I didn't know what this meant, so I restarted the game. But to my horror, the message remained. Starting to fear the worst, I kept trying to install the floorboards, hoping it was only a fluke, but the message remained, hovering above my head like a cold diagnosis. To my
He's
horror,
cooked.
I realized I wouldn't be able to build my city anymore. I had somehow already found the limit to what LEGO Fortnite could handle. I had placed too many blocks in too much of a complex way, and now the game wouldn't let me build anymore. Suddenly the dream, the life, and the wife that I had imagined working towards had dissolved right before my eyes. I was so deeply excited to build this project, but now there was nothing I could do. I tried to keep building, I tried to work around it, but the game wouldn't let me place any more of my bricks. I became like Dr. Freeze, with the City of Plastic run becoming my frozen bride. It's very feasible that at that moment a large deposit of dopamine was destroyed and replaced with a void of confusion. Why do you have to take everything that makes me happy? Peter wasn't enough! Jokes aside, this really did bum me out, and I never played LEGO Fortnite again. I simply had no reason
Rightfully
to.
so.
Why would I play a building game where I couldn't trust that my builds would be able to be completed? For once, my only limit wasn't my imagination, but the game I was playing. So not only was LEGO Fortnite lacking in content, but even the fundamental ability to build was broken. 8 months later, the problem seems to be fixed, but I'm not convinced this game is a worthy recipient of my time. For all I know, the complexity limit could hit me again later down the line, since I was very early on my build project when it first appeared. 1 out of 10. Rocket Racing was the least popular game for a reason.
Real,
Not
1 out
only
of
did it
10 is
lack an
so
interesting
valid.
selection of maps, but its gameplay was super cut and dry. You can accelerate, boost, drift. Sure, it plays great. The wall riding is slick and the driving is smooth, but this has to be one of the most uncreative games on Fortnite's platform. This game has less complexity than Only Up Fortnite.
That's crazy,
and
it burns
at the moment,
them.
probably less players too. This game feels like the equivalent of walking without the mental health benefits. It felt like CSGO surfing, but not as cool. It's a boring game, and that's coming from me, the guy who doesn't need a lot to be entertained. The only time I could bear to play this game was when I wanted to do something while listening to a podcast. And I don't think that's what the devs were going for. It's a bland game that barely has anything in it to make it complex. The skill ceiling feels so low you have to trench crawl to get through it. It's the most rudimentary racing game I'll probably ever play, almost like it was created just to fulfill a corporate...
Real. No one's really talking in Twitch at the moment. Unfortunately, but yeah. Welcome back, anime fan. Let's get this person to fall asleep because how boring. I know, right? Fortnite racing is so goddamn boring.
checkbox.
Hey guys, we own Rocket League now, and I don't want to end up like that guy from Smiling Friends, the chicken nugget guy, so let's put it to good use, alright? Let's make a racing game with this.
Alright, are we gonna make the game interesting? The only good thing I will say about Rocket Racing is that out of the 3 games, it felt the least glitchy. Speaking of glitchy...
Oh god, the fucking row beats over here.
Fortnite Festival was the least polished game of the 3. This is basically Fortnite Guitar Hero. Sounds awesome in concept, but the problem was that it was released with an incredibly small selection of songs. In fact, there was such a small selection that it actually caused people to fixate on the small amount of songs they could play. Since Bad Romance was one of the only songs on the roster, it actually had a mini revival. People listened to that song so many times that a whole nother generation became obsessed with it. Solely because sometimes your only choice would be between playing that or the Search by NF, which went on to be known as the Search for Better Music. The game mechanics here were similar to Rocket Racing in that they took no more than a couple sessions to master. Hit the notes, fiddle the triangle notes, and occasionally press the spacebar. If I'm correct, this is pretty close to the Guitar Hero formula. But the thing is, there's a very big difference between Fortnite Festival and Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero songs can get really difficult to play, and you can spend days trying to master their difficulty. That's where a lot of people get hooked on it. It's that mastery. But Fortnite Festival songs do not get on that same level of difficulty. I could play any song on expert mode in a few tries, and that's the highest difficulty. Additionally, the game is glitchy.
Dude, that looks like a very fucking mildly difficult song. As someone who's played way too much Guitar Hero and row beats. Hey, what the fuck am I hearing?
For being an expert song.
I disconnected or something happened. My whole notes have just stopped. Oh shoot, my notes are going again.
I don't know enough about how it performs today, but weeks into playing it after it first came out, there were glitches regularly happening. About 1 in 5 games would suffer from an interruption. Sometimes that would be the camera lingering on the stage for a couple minutes too long, with the game not being able to start, and other times there would be a crash if you emoted at the wrong time.
Daniel
Some people even
Larson.
figured out how to break outside of the game's bounds. With all that being said, I would be lying if I said the game didn't have its moments.
Daniel
Seeing
Larson.
Omni-Man shred Everlong is hilarious,
think-
but once
I
that
think I
loses
know
its
who that is.
novelty, the game feels pretty hollow. If it was presented on a smaller scale, like a limited time event, that would make sense. But this is a game mode that was propped up along the likes of LEGO Fortnite and Battle Royale,
I
and it
think
just does
so.
not match their caliber. While the content of these games
I
may
don't
have
know.
been lacking, the microtransactions certainly weren't. But the funny thing is, they were also a bust. No one's buying this stuff. Allow me to present to you some of the dumbest items that have become purchasable with these games.
Oh,
For Rocket
God.
Racing, you've got car builds, decals, wheels, trails, and boosts that you can stare into to help you fall asleep faster. If you want to play songs in Fortnite Festival without them
I think we can all agree. Fuck. Fuck Rocket Racer. That's the worst one out of them all.
being in the free rotation, it will cost you 500 V-Bucks for the right to play them. They do function as emotes, which you can use in Battle Royale, but they're stuck on a stem player system where you can only play one part of your song at a time. This means that unless you can find 3 other people who dished out the 500 V-Bucks for your favorite song, you'll have to perform a Buddy Holly a cappella, or just play the bass riff, which is like really weird. I don't know why you'd just do that, but a lot of the virtual junk that now pollutes the store also comes from Festival.
The
Microphones,
only correct
guitars,
opinion,
bass guitars, and instrument
unfortunately.
emotes. You know well that no one is buying any of this stuff in September 2024. But fear not, sometimes Festival has a battle pass. This is 1 page long, yet it costs 850 more V-Bucks than the regular battle pass. It's almost
God
twice as
damn.
expensive for 1 page.
Oh, now I can give lobotomies in Fortnite? Perfect.
Lego Fortnite had one of
I've been meaning to give myself one of those.
these too, which reminds me, even though Lego Fortnite barely received any updates, there was one way to get more content, and it sucks. A bit after Lego Fortnite came out, these kits started appearing in the shop, and they are probably the saddest item that I will mention in this video. These are basically 3D instruction kits with what I believe are exclusive bricks. You pay to be able
Really?
to build an exclusive structure in your world,
Oh
like
my
a
God.
Burger restaurant.
Hi,
Just a couple
Giga.
evolutionary steps away from NFTs, especially since people were able to build pretty similar stuff for free. For a virtual instruction kit, it's probably like 500 V-Bucks. No, 2,000 V-Bucks. Basically $20 for
fucking
this
Lord.
ridiculous sell. You could buy a real Lego kit with that money. That's the sad dystopian part. Just buy a real kit. It's insultingly close to the piece to price ratio of a real Lego set for something that isn't real. We got people paying to build a virtual Lego set before GTA 6. I am going to give
Oh my
credit where
God.
credit is due and applaud Epic for where they weren't greedy. Because the cool thing about Lego mode, and another reason why it's such a shame it's not more supported, is that the skins and emotes you already own from Battle Royale can be used in Lego format at no additional cost. Which to some of you might seem like the bare minimum, but I'm honestly surprised this happened. However, because Lego Fortnite was more rushed than a Town Hall 11 with level 8 walls, many of the skins
Oh
were
my
still under
God.
construction on release. Dozens of them had to have placeholder skins that look like half-baked bootlegs, and countless emotes were also missing. This is obviously because the Lego dev team clearly didn't have enough time to adapt them all. Do you notice how many problems a rushed release creates?
Probably a
All
fuck
of these
lot.
cosmetics have done an excellent job of cluttering the game's UI and filling up the shop with stuff that no one's going to buy. Because the locker section has to contain all of these miscellaneous cosmetics, it's way less intuitive than it used to be. And every time you look at a skin in the shop, there's a good chance you'll see a Lego version on the same skin stapled on to give it more value. And it just feels like a real and Bumblebee moment if you don't play Lego Fortnite anymore, because it crushed your dreams. I mean, think about it. The average player is only playing Battle Royale or community games and can't use these items. But now they're gonna have to see and sort through all of this junk on a regular basis. I feel bad for whoever works on Fortnite's shop, because having to include and manage all of these random items that have various values must be a
Goddamn.
headache.
What even is that? What is that movie? I want to see Lego Ultron now. I wonder what that skin looks like. I want to see the Lego Deadpool skin.
For Rocket Racing to have Toontown level player counts. And the thing is, because they introduced all of these cosmetics that are tied to dying games, the baggage that Fortnite must now carry is going to be a continuous burden. Unless they want to hurt their reputation, they can't just stop supporting these games. But the player counts for the games are only going to continue to dwindle because no matter what update you introduce to these games, the novelty is already gone and most players are never coming back. So Epic has to keep renewing licenses for old songs and purchasing new ones. They have to
Holy
so
shit.
Epic has to
I changed my username. W username, not gonna lie.
keep renewing
That just looks like a Mario Kart map, not gonna lie. It's like something I'd see in like Mario Kart World.
licenses for old songs and purchasing new ones. They have to keep building metaverse real estate Lego sets no one's using, and they have to keep producing new guitars. It's just funny and sad how a giant like Epic Games is now stuck in this predicament because of their own poor judgment. So, what should they have done differently? Let these games bake for another year or two.
Yeah, real. At least in Minecraft you can download mods to make the villagers fun. Make them fight each other. Here you can get your jackass villagers to do anything. Hi CJ. I finished back 4. Nice.
And introduce them one at a time. Instead of sending out unfinished games 3 at a time because you need to have a fireworks show every time 10 seasons have ended, take your time and don't rush something that's going to be a long-term investment. Nowadays, these games have improved and have been given more content. Not really Lego Fortnite.
That's crazy. It's such a fire username.
Still kind of nothing going on there somehow. But because of how they were rushed at their launch, they permanently lost momentum that they're never going to get back. A wise man once said, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Sure, these games have their audiences and they're not unplayable, but their potential was wasted. Based on my criticism, you might take me for someone who just wants to see Fortnite fail, because I'm a Minecraft-obsessed Redditor. But the reason why I get so critical about Fortnite is because I truly like the game. And when it does stuff right and goes in the right direction, it's always an awesome experience. I wanted these games to succeed. I poured time into Lego Fortnite because I saw the potential in it and wanted to work on it until it was unplayable for me. You know, Fortnite Festival, I actually purchased a total of 10 jam tracks to play with, which in total is an investment of 5,000 V-Bucks. You can tell I really
Yeah.
wanted to have fun with these games. I wanted them to be good. But the ego behind this company just repeatedly ruins good potential.
If you wanted to play like a good a rhythm game for completely free that has good songs, that's like old as shit, go on fucking Robeats, man.
games had more time to be fleshed out, I guarantee they would have been at the same level of popularity that Battle Royale has
Okay,
and
I'm
had been
finally
able to
back.
sustain it. But
Hi,
instead, they
boy.
were unfortunately used as cheap gimmicks
What's
to hype up
good?
Chapter 5, and they are now destined to linger on the platform
Oh
as
boy, jump
niche
scare.
side projects. A
Boy,
complete
jump scare,
failure
yes.
based on the amount of resources this company has. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Lufa.
What's good, Alex? What's good, very nice anime fan?
That was a good video. Here, let me send it in Twitch chat.